Hello, hello, hello. It is Sunday night. It is hit 10 o'clock. So I'm being told. I've been up since about 4:30, but we are here to talk with Mark Abnett about This Land, which I'm super excited about. He's been doing it really well, and he's got some other stuff that he's been talking about and got to deal with over in New Zealand. So we're going to touch on that. We're going to talk about the movie Soldier, which is kind of cool. We're going back to 1998. I'm a 90s boy, so super happy about talking about that. And as always, we'll be chatting about everything comics to movies and more. But before we do that, we go live each Sunday night at 10 p.m. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that notify bell. And as always, I have my co-host with me, Stephen. How are you tonight, mate?
Look, I'm okay, to be really fair. Like, my life bubbles along, things don't change all too much week in from week. But I'm not concerned about me. I'm concerned about you. You've got a new little one back, and I've warned you. You can check the tapes. This is what I love to say. You can check the tapes. How much sleep are you getting, man?
I am getting next to no sleep, and if it is sleep, it's broken sleep. So if I talk out my absolute butthole tonight, that is because I am running on fumes at the moment. No, I got to say I've been pretty lucky. I've had time off work. Both Lizzie and I have been doing changes and everything, so not one of us are getting up to every single feed during the night, so that's good. She's a pretty good sleeper, so she usually will sleep, that 3 to 4 hours. But yeah, it's just been interesting. 6 years between Peaches and Daisy. I kind of forgot a lot of this stuff, but no, we're super excited to have her home. My parents are coming up to give us a hand this week as well, and Lizzie's parents who live next door. I know I've got my in-laws that live next door. They've been giving us a hand as well, so which is super nice. But yeah.
No, that's awesome. Other thing it would be is, look, I know we haven't been on a really good schedule for these shows for every Sunday. Look, basically to people who do tune in, thank you very much for keep tuning in to us. We do really appreciate it, but real life does take over sometimes, so we do hope you guys understand, but thank you very much. And we should call out everybody, like you brought up Shane's comment, so hey Shane, welcome aboard. Sassy girl, as always.
And Grace, hello to all. And Mandeep, nice to hear from you, mate. Hope you are doing well. And the kung fu fighting Jackie.
You saw the video. Oh,
I did see the video. Nice. In jeans and everything, Jackie. I'm pretty impressed by that.
I'm jealous. The guy draws. He kicks. What can't he do, really? Come on.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised we didn't see him in Shang-Chi. I know you had an opportunity.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I reckon he would give them a run for his money. So yeah, and we've got Moira. Afternoon. How you going? So nice to see you as well. So, but you mentioned like it being me being tired and it being crazy. Not only did Peaches, Daisy, see, look, I can't even get the names right. Daisy come home on Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, I was lucky enough to pitch XCT to a company in the US as a TV / movie idea. And then on Friday, it was the Melbourne International Film Festival here in Melbourne, and I was again able to pitch to 8 different production companies about XCT and a few other ideas that I had. So it was a really busy week, but a real exciting week around not only my personal life but professionally as well. You know, we had the 13th Labour hit funding, which was great. We've had Wordsmith Volume 4 smashed through the 20K mark. So you know, it's been a great week all around from that point of view as well.
Yep. And it actually got it towards the end. I was feeling refreshed. Like I think it was on the Wednesday night. It was just refresh. And look, I've done it before, and it's a great way to end the campaign. But man, it was just F5.
Yep.
Change.
I know, and someone who knows all about that F5 and refreshing. A special guest that we've had on the show a couple of times. He's filled in for me, which has been amazing. And we have the very talented Mark Abnett. How you going, mate?
Hey.
Listen, I'm surprised after I filled in for you, the show didn't tank completely and you were blocked from being on air, to be honest.
Oh, no, look.
I was probably dropping bombs left, right, and centre, so I do apologize.
See, our subscriber base jumped up about 500, mate. So, like, you know, I was like, what's he doing? He's got all of his family and friends to subscribe. And
see, I'm really jealous. At least Shaun has his beard, which unfortunately I can't grow a beard. It doesn't happen. And I can't grow the hair as well. It doesn't happen for me.
What are you talking about? It's gone. I tell you.
No turn, come on. It's still there. We know it's still there.
Okay, Stephen, I'm gonna put it out there. I've got the beard. He's got the long hair. Do you have a hairy chest, mate?
No, nothing. I'm not going to show it, but you can take my word for that.
You know, listen. I've got a new appreciation for all the ladies out there. This stuff is ridiculous. Just absolutely.
Look at that! Look at that!
It's a bit. Now you'll notice it's a bit greasy and a bit oily because somehow in Scotland it's 30 degrees today, and it has been all week. I think Mandeep and Moira will be able to confirm. It's this global warming thing might possibly be real. It is absolutely melting, and the UK is just not built for it. Our house is actually quite interesting because it's an old brick home, but it's insulated to keep the heat in. But the walls are thick enough. If you draw the curtains, it's still cold downstairs, about 14 degrees, which is nice. But if you leave the windows open, it's like an oven. Everything just bakes. And you, I don't know if you guys have ever been to London. Oh, Shaun, you would have been around Melbourne Black Sunday.
Yes.
Ago. So I was there that weekend. New Zealand beat Australia in one day. Hilarious. The next day was.
You had to throw that in.
This was when we were garbage, by the way, and it was quite funny for us that we won.
This is where we thought the world was ending, mate. That's why
you guys lost 4 games in a row. I think you'd lost to Australia, South Africa twice, and it was the second game in a row you lost to us. And all the Aussies, oh my God, Aussie cricket was all downhill. But that was, you imagine that day. So we had a few drinks. The next day was Black Sunday, and that is the worst kind of heat I've ever experienced. But the sky was red from all the fires. But London, so you imagine Melbourne, at least you got aircon, right? London at the moment is just completely melting. It's just not meant for it. The air's so still there. So you go to the tube station, like 55 degrees almost. So they can't run some of the lines and all sorts. It's absolute chaos.
Wow.
But I'm having a lovely time. So,
well, I have to say, I think Moira needs glasses because she said that Stephen's power is that he's. Oh, not that he's.
I got the wrong comment.
Stephen has the looks.
And
then I thought she said he was very hot, but she said it's been very hot. So
thanks, Moira.
Well, hey, we know where you.
But look at Shane's comment.
So, yes, I know. Well,
and you guys are messaging behind our backs, you and Shane. You can tell us. It's okay.
It is funny. I've actually one of my stretch goals. There you go. I knew Mandeep would back me up. Yeah. One of my stretch goals for my campaign. If I hit 5,000, I'm going to cut my hair off. Not shave, but I'm going to have a normal haircut again.
No, don't.
And no, it might be time if the punters approve it, and I'll contribute. I'll donate £500 to the UK Lupus Society. So I know cool. haircutting is usually associated with cancer, but I've got family members with lupus and stuff, and it's an important charity for me that we support all the time anyway. But thought it'd be stretch goals are funny with Kickstarters, aren't they? It's nice to get to these levels. And actually, sometimes if you get your math wrong, it costs you more than the level you've gone to if you haven't done. I found that out the first time around. I was like, oh, I'm actually losing money by creating this extra item to go in with weight and shipping and printing and whatnot. It's scary. If you haven't figured out your math properly, Kickstarter can get rough very, very quickly.
It's funny how many times first-time creators get caught out on that, because a lot of the times they'll have a lot of friends and family backing them as well. So usually the first campaign goes quite well as well. And then for those ones that are lucky enough that do really well, we had one friend that they did something crazy like $20,000 or something, and they were throwing in like cards and pins and posters and all this type of stuff, and it was great. Like when I got the package, I was like, wow, mate, for my $30 I got like $70 or $80 worth of merchandise. But for him, I felt really bad because he ended up like eating into absolutely every single cent of his kind of profit because of that.
In an ideal world, you want the campaign to be completely self-funding. You pay all the contributors. The writers never get paid. Don't do that, lads. No. The writers get paid for the art, the colouring, the lettering, and all that. But the writers never get paid. And hopefully have enough to go towards the next thing. So you always comic books is it's a long process. And ideally, you want to be ahead of the game when it comes to having the art being created and whatnot. In an ideal world, you'd never want to launch with nothing but a couple of concept art. You'd like to be quite a way through the campaign. And that's what happened with this land. But that's enough of that for now. Do you want to talk about Soldier or?
Well, we do. Just got a couple more comments here. Grace has said it's the Chinese genes. I know a lot of guys can't outgrow a proper beard to save their life. So
I totally agree with Grace there.
It's been it. What are you? You just north of Newcastle? Is that right? You're around there? Is that where you are?
Grace is in Southeast Asia.
No. Where are you?
Me?
Yeah, I thought you were Newcastle way.
No, I'm up in Sydney. Sydney, Australia.
Newcastle, Sydney,
that's about 12.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
Yeah. But it's warm enough that you don't need to grow a beard. This is my winter here. This
is me all the time. I don't change.
Well, the movie we're going to be talking about is Soldier, starring Kurt Russell, and I believe Mark, you picked this. This film. Can you tell me why you picked this film?
Yeah, weird one, isn't it? This is Kiko, by the way. Kiko, say hi. Yeah, she's a bit hot. Right, down you go. Off you go. So, Soldier was an interesting one for me because it's a pretty straightforward movie. There's not a lot of nuts and bolts or big twists. It's probably one of the most basic movies you could ever have from go to woe. It is pretty much... It's pretty much the hero's journey as well. The hero has a problem. He finds a mentor. He struggles a bit. He goes on. He overcomes adversity, and he's changed at the end of it. That's a very contracted version of the hero's journey, I guess. And it is. It's almost paint by numbers, but there's something because it's such a basic movie. And it is what it is, and it wears it on its sleeve. Bloody love it. So essentially, this is a guy who's trained from birth to be a soldier. And I believe the dates are quite interesting because this is 20 years old now. So in 1996, this child was born. And this is the first film you picked that I haven't seen. Yeah, well, get on it. I think it's on Amazon.
Yep.
I think
Amazon Prime.
Is that what you had to rewatch it? Did you? Have you seen it before?
Yeah, I had seen it before, but I did rewatch it because I kind of remembered it. But
do you remember why you watched it in the first place? Because I had a flashback to this, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is why I watched this movie."
Why did you watch it?
For me, and why I've watched so many movies, I was the old school kid that did 10 weeklies for $10 back in the days when there were if to our younger generation, we used to have things called video shops or video rentals, and we used to go and rent what we call VHSs, which are like cassette tapes that you put into a machine and show you a film. But yeah, I just I can remember it was one of those films that like I hadn't seen before, and I was always into that kind of sci-fi stuff, and the thing that surprised me was that it was a little bit later in the 90s than I thought. So I actually thought it was mid to say like 94 to 96. So when I found out it was 98, I was like, oh wow, that's much later than I thought. But just so going back and touch.
This is why I'd say the reason why most people saw it, and they didn't go to the movie theater to see it. They saw it and they picked it up VHS video store, maybe DVD, maybe Virgin early DVD. Well, 98, yeah, definitely DVDs in 98, yeah. But so it was a trailer, and it's probably for that time one of the most best cut, high intensity voiceover trailer thing. A man born to be a soldier, raised to be a military, blah blah blah, to protect a family on a planet of junk, and then it rips into Rob Zombie's "More Human Than Human" song, and it's just I'm not going to hum it, but it just amps up, and there's all the cut scenes of the actions, and if you're sitting there, I remember going, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I must watch this now." It was like, and when we had VHS kids, you used to have about 5 or 6. If it was a Warner Brothers movie, you'd have 5 or 6 trailers for other Warner Brothers movies beforehand. And even in DVDs, before it got to the main menu, they'd put trailers in because they realised this was a way to sell their other movies.
I used to love when DVDs first come out and be like, you wouldn't steal a handbag. You wouldn't
download.
You wouldn't steal the thing, and then it'd be like, well, don't pirate, And I was like, should I keep that on while I'm burning this DVD? Yeah, we'll just keep it.
Oh my god, it's like hitting wait for the top 10 songs to come on and hitting record on the cassette tape so you don't have to go buy the song, and then the announcer talks over it and you're like, no.
It's funny lately in regards to like music, how much like 80s and 90s stuff is being used in trailers and everything these days. Like I just went and saw Thor Love and Thunder on Thursday night with my dad. And like that whole soundtrack is Guns N' Roses, it's a type of thing. We talked about Stranger Things and having Metallica and everything in that. And I can't even remember what I've watched a bit lately because I've been home more. But I was watching something else and I was like, oh, it was Guns N' Roses again. And I was like, far out. There's Guns N' Roses and Metallica are really popular at the moment, but their trailers are like that Sweet Child of Mine and everything. There's those really old school riffs and everything. There doesn't seem to be anything that's been out for a little while that kind of really sticks with that.
The only one I would say is a good, the closest, maybe the Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, which was in the Ms. Marvel show, but that was over COVID. I think that was one of the most played songs for the last 3 years. I don't know if you know it. You'll know it if you hear it. But you're right. There's not many of those sort of songs of anthem type nature anymore that really resonate. And these things are cyclical, but I don't recall in the 80s or 90s harking back. Maybe some 70s stuff, maybe some Led Zeppelin stuff like that. That's that has aged well. the odd Pink Floyd song. But yeah, the last 10, 20 years is not very many great sort of rock or anthems that just generate that emotion and nostalgia or anything, you know. But again, we could be wrong because we're wrong. So, and in 20 years' time, it'll be like, crap, they're playing that stuff again. Oh God, you know.
Well, for me, the one that would go closest, and whenever I hear it, I have to come home and watch the film. And that is What I've Done by Linkin Park, and that's on Revenge of the Fallen, the second Transformers movie, and that's one like they are one band where I'm like, whenever I hear their songs in a trailer or something like that, in the end, all those type of things that they've got that.
Romance, and I want to say, what's Jared Leto's band? From Mars, 30 Seconds from Mars. He had 30 Seconds from Mars, 60 Seconds from Mars.
30 Seconds from Mars.
Yeah. Sometime from Mars, but you know, he had some, you know, after Linkin Park, he had some of those sort of big anthem type things. You know,
30 Seconds to Mars. 30 Seconds to Mars. You're right.
80s and 90s music was awesome. Yes, it was more. Yes, it was. You know,
so Stephen, had you seen this movie?
The movie soundtrack is sometimes more popular than the movie, you know.
Yes.
Spawn soundtrack, that was good.
I still have the CD actually. It was all duets. The entire Spawn soundtrack was duets. It was incredible.
The original Punisher with Tom Jane. That soundtrack is phenomenal. It's like one of my. That's how I got into Cedar. If you haven't heard of Cedar,
I'm going to correct you. The original Punisher was.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah. The second.
Yeah. Oh,
the second. Second Punisher.
And that was actually. Yeah. If we could talk about. Have you talked about that one before?
Dolph Lundgren.
No. The Thomas Jane Punisher.
No, we haven't talked about that.
It's the one he punches the guy's head and explodes.
So there we go.
I've actually got a signed Punisher poster by Tom Jane. I got to meet him in 2011 at Dallas Comic-Con. So yeah.
How great was the soundtrack?
Oh, there's some crazy stuff on there. That's just cool.
Who's
the one? I think Evanescence might have been Daredevil, actually.
Bring Me to Life, yeah.
Yes, that was Daredevil.
Yeah.
Loved that song as well, Evanescence. I'm a bit of a I like a different. We don't really talk about music that much on the show, but
it used to be almost such a used to go hand in hand. So they'd have 2 or 3 big bands, and then some random bands you never heard of. You know, like look at this list here. You know, like who the hell are these people? But then again, you find them and discover them like, hey, these are all right, or weird as shit. Yeah.
I now remember what I was watching that had Guns N' Roses in it. It's Yellowstone, the cowboy show, and they do covers in like country and western of like certain songs, you know, throughout the show. And they did it, and I was like, this is phenomenal. I'm like, this is really impressive, like, you know, to kind of take on it. So if you haven't seen Yellowstone, that is a series you have to see. It's Sons of Anarchy meets Cowboys is how I describe it to people.
Oh, that's awesome. It's like Westworld do it as well with all their acoustic type covers of great songs. Soldier. Yeah. More human than human, White Zombie, Rob Zombie. It was like, holy shit. This
Before
is awesome.
We get the Soldier, and I've got some thoughts.
So it's a young boy who from birth is trained to be a soldier with no emotion, and he's very rigid and focused, and they're basically brought up to be, they are essentially robots. They don't have any technology built into them, but they are young men that are brought up to be in complete control of their emotions and only follow orders. There's a scene where it goes through a montage of him growing up and some of the stuff the kids went through and the psychological torture and whatnot, just to restrict all the emotions. They're seeing dogs attacking wild boars. One of the boys is in a fitness piece. They're doing a long distance run, and one of them's lagging, and he just gets shot because he's not up with the rest of them. So he's defective product. There's no point putting any time in him. Fun fact: the boy who plays, and I was looking at it, was like, that kid does look a lot like Kurt Russell. Well done, that's some good casting. It was Wyatt Russell, our US agent.
Oh,
Wyatt Russell, that was his first.
I did not know that.
Kid was being, because he's obviously Kurt Russell's son.
Yep.
And yeah, it was like, oh wow, that's quite cool. Didn't even think about that.
Yep.
So a new batch of soldiers come along. They have a test. Kurt Russell and his lot are deemed to be defective. Kurt's injured in this test, but he does manage to take the eye out of Jason Scott Lee. This cast is amazing too. You got Jason Scott Lee. You've got Connie. Hang on, I had it down here. Connie Nielsen, who plays Hippolyta, Wonder Woman's mum. Jason Isaacs is always a good bad guy. Sean Petrie, Gary Busey before he went absolutely batshit. But you can see, you can see Gary Busey trying to play a straight-ish man. It's the most controlled I've ever seen him act. It's really weird. But yeah, it's a great. It feels like a big small movie, and basically, obviously, the defective Kurt Russell gets dropped on this planet, and there's a whole lot of refugees there, and they've taken him in, and random occurrence, the new soldiers have come for a bit of training, and these refugees are on this trash planet illegally, so they're like, well, let's just clear them out for practice. They don't realise Kurt Russell's there. Kurt Russell basically defends this place and just kills them all off one by one in some very cool little action, for that time, very cool little action pieces. Some of it's a bit dated, a bit simple now, but yeah, it's such a basic movie. And another fun fact, it was actually written by the guy who wrote Blade Runner. So it's, in a sense, it actually takes place in the Blade Runner universe. So there's all these little, every mission that these guys go on, they actually have the wars they're in tattooed on their arms, instead of badges or whatever. They just have the battle of blah, blah, the battle of blah, 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 blah. And these names, some of these battles are mentioned in Blade Runner. So there's all these little, and I think there's a spaceship from Blade Runner that's on the trash planet. So yeah, indirectly, but not really. It's in the same sort of universe. It takes place. Yeah, but it didn't make any money.
It was a box office bomb, actually, if I remember right. It really bombed out.
Well, I've lost your volume. Your volume's gone down. I can't hear you guys anymore.
Oh, can you hear us
clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you absolutely fine. Can you hear us?
Okay. All right, cool. I'll keep talking. It's fine. But yeah, it's.
Wait, you can't hear us?
Oh no, I can. It's just for some reason you've gone from up here to down here, but that could be me talking too much. So.
No. This is, you're the guest. Knock
down to
yourself
my
up.
own voice. Love it.
No,
but yeah, no, it's there's just something very basic and visceral about it. And at the time, I thought Kurt Russell at that stage because my favorite comic character is Cable, and at the time I thought Kurt Russell in Soldier would be the perfect Cable, even though he's 5 foot nothing. But then again, so was Josh Brolin. But yeah, at that point, it's like they can make a Cable movie. Look at it. There's not the X-Men element, but the military combat. Look at me with my big gun element, sort of thing. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a very cliche, but it is paint by numbers. But it's enough there for a good afternoon, evening's entertainment.
And that's what I think sometimes is good for entertainment purposes is that sometimes you just want to watch a film for like a little bit of eye candy, a little bit of popcorn, and just not have to think too much. And that's what when I rewatched this, I didn't think it had aged too badly. Where some shows I've gone back and watched like The Princess Bride. That's just
don't
horrible.
No,
I
will not hear a bad thing said about Princess Bride.
I'm going to time this one out because do you know what Mark's first choice of movies was before we picked Soldier?
What?
Princess Bride.
And what did you say? You said no. Sean's watched it and he absolutely hated it. We're not doing that again.
You've already spoken about it. So clearly, yes, Sean, it's okay. Sean, it's okay. You were wrong. It's okay.
It's the one time that I've been wrong, but you know, look, you can see I'm starting the chat already. Don't start, Sean. So, but yeah, no, it was good to go back and watch it. As I said, I watched it on Amazon Prime. I think it was actually on there for free, so I didn't even need to pay for it or anything like that. But
I hadn't forced you to pay for it by choosing a random movie. I bet you both went, "Oh God, where are we going to find this?"
Well, I tell you what, I actually pulled out my old DVD collection that's sitting underneath my my dad's bed in the spare room, and was like, oh, I wonder if I've actually got it on DVD. But because of the way I've burnt them, they don't work on the Xbox or PlayStation or anything. So I was like, oh, well, that was all these DVDs. I can't even watch them anymore. So.
You got to bring up Tatty Cake's comment though. That's a very important comment to bring up because you're impacting the channel. That's all I'm saying.
The revolution has begun.
You're hurting the subscriber base, and that's not on, Sean.
Yep. If you like the Princess Bride, just hit that. No.
No.
But yeah, it's just one of those movies that I've always kind of, and I haven't watched it for a while. It's just it was something perfect about, I don't know, they say some of your favorite things, and I probably would have been about 98, I was 17, 18. So it's around that time, from 12 to 13, 14, they reckon the TV shows and the media that you love around then is usually or books or whatever. All that stuff resonates with you for a very long time, but as I say, I think this was a perfect combination of the trailer got me excited. You know, this bloody young teenage boy full of testosterone and stuff, and like, oh, this trailer's awesome. Oh, he's kicking ass. Oh, I love it. You know, it's that T2 era sort of stuff, all that sort of action. You know, action heroes sort of thing. Schwarzenegger, Stallone, all those nutters and. Yeah, it was weird because he's a Disney boy from way back. Kurt Russell. He was one of the first ever. He was, as a child actor, he was signed to Disney for 10 years, for 10 movies. Sorry, at a very young age, it's happened before, but it was kind of rarity back in the day. And he's for him to go into something. And he did some rom-coms. He did Overboard with Goldie Hawn in the 80s. He did some 80s stuff. I think this is his first full-on action role as well. And I said, he's brilliant. And another fun fact, he broke his ankles in the first week of shooting. And so what they did is they had to rejig the entire schedule. And pretty much it's all done on a set piece. You know, there's a big set stuff. So they filmed everything of him sitting first. And then everything of him lying down first. Because he could lie down with broken ankles. Everything of him sitting and then everything of him moving around. So they rejigged it so they didn't actually lose much time in the shooting schedule. Wow. It was annoying for them, but they still managed to make it work. But yeah.
And then Mark Hamill breaks his leg and they just rewrite all of The Force Awakens. We'll put him in for 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes at the end, one scene.
I know nothing.
But I was going to say, you were talking about that trailer and why you remember it. There's a movie that, and we can discuss this maybe another time, but there's a movie that I watched that the trailer is what hooked me in. So I was like, oh, sweet, these are two awesome actors. And 5 minutes into that film, I was so jibbed that I was like, you know, this trailer has lied to me. And that's Executive Decision. With
and
sorry?
Russell. Kurt Russell.
Yeah, Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal. But really, it's only with Kurt Russell.
Spoilers, it's only been 15 years, 25 years. Jeez. That was awesome.
I actually did like the film, but I was like, you've got these two big, huge headliners, and within 5 minutes, one of the headliners not even in the film. I'm like, come on, mate.
So G.I. Joe Retaliation did that a bit as well.
Yes.
because Channing Tatum actually was contracted for 2, and it blew up. Like he blew up, like in popularity after like around that time. So they like added scenes with him in because I don't think he was barely in it, and I think they added him into it, and then killed him off. But he was in a lot of the trailer, as a misdirect. I think another one. What was another misdirect trailer? Yeah, some of them are really bad for showing you the whole movie. I think Marvel's getting better at not doing that. There've been one or two, and you can watch a Marvel trailer and you go, "I know exactly what's going to happen here." We're not the whole Spider-Man Homecoming. Whatever the Far From Home, No Way Home.
No Way Home. No Way Home.
The last one. I think we all kind of, and because internet rumors and stuff like that, we kind of all assumed that those Toby and Andrew were probably going to turn up. Spoilers. But the Thor one wasn't too bad. They didn't give away too much. If you look at the first trailer for Love and Thunder, it doesn't really... If you know the Gore God Butcher story, you know what's going to happen. It's, paint by numbers, really. And it is still different from the God Butcher story arc, but it's just elements they've picked up. But they're not revealing as much in the trailer, so I think they've improved a bit. It's a hard one because you want to kind of you do want to get bums on seats, so you do kind of tease the odd character cameo sort of thing a little bit. I get why they do it. It's just the timing of it all, because not everyone, like you've only just gone and seen it, right? And you might have had a few things spoiled for you inadvertently.
No, I hadn't actually. I hadn't had anything spoiled for me, so I was pretty lucky for that. But
the post credit,
which one?
Either I think the middle one, and we'll say Russell Crowe and friend.
I haven't seen. Don't spoil it. I haven't seen Thor yet, so I'm just listening. But I don't. Don't spoil the ending for me.
You haven't seen.
I liked the end. Like ever since Eternals has come out, I always wondered how they were going to explain all these powerful gods. Like, what were they doing when Thanos is just like killing half the universe? So with both Eternals and now with the gods, they've been very clever in the way that they've been able to do that in saying that with the Eternals, they're like, oh, well, we don't interfere with...
One moment, hang on. Yeah. Mia, cut it out. I think their mum's just come home and says, yeah, they're at the front door. That's why they're losing their mind. Hang on, I'll just close this door. Carry on. I'll just close this door.
No problem. But yeah, I was going to say... with Eternals, they were saying that they don't interfere with, humans, even though the film they do interfere with humans. So that was kind of a contradiction. Basically. But anyway, but that was their line. And then with this one, I did kind of like the fact that all these gods were just these arrogant, people that were just like sitting around, just chilling out, doing what they wanted to do, and everything like that. So
if you've been around for eons, you get bored and just you find things to entertain yourself. It's what gods are. They're not great people, and that ties us into this land actually. And the gods. What a segue! Oh,
well, that's what I was thinking. So, if people have seen and been had you on here before, but just for those that don't know, can you just do us a little bit of a sum up of this land, and then also talk just a little bit to the deal that you got with Skilltastic in New Zealand as well.
Yeah. This land is basically it's a future. So the elevator pitch was Moana meets the X-Men, but I've changed that to Avengers because I realised the X-Men aren't as relevant as the Avengers now in pop culture. So essentially, it's a team of superpowered people from a future New Zealand. This world is now called Taruia Maui, and it's risen. Okay, hang on. Elevator pitch, Mark. Make it shorter. What if you had the powers of the gods? And what if those gods wanted those powers back? And essentially a god returns to New Zealand, the place now called Taruia Maui, and inadvertently traps the family of this young woman, Helena, and says to Helena, if you want to see your family again, you're going to help me find the demigod Maui, because he has mucked me around and I need to figure out what's going on. And Tane is the god that's fallen from the sky. Those are cool, by the way, aren't they? You like those?
Nah, very cool, man. Very cool.
Very, very happy with them. I bollocksed up with that because I didn't save any for myself.
Oh,
God!
No.
Like, you spend all this time on these things. Actually, I think there's one left, and I'm tempted to buy my own campaign to keep it. Keep it. And it's like I kind of should have saved at least one for myself there. I kind of blew it.
This has got to be one of my favorite covers, man.
Yeah,
I absolutely love this cover.
Now, some people would say it's a bit of a dick move, but it's been reused. So issue 3, it was a variant cover, and it's in such a demand that I said, right, well, let's just so there's a new color scheme on it, and it has been used as the second variant cover for issue 5. So that issue 3 one is still an original. This is different in color scheme, and it's an opportunity for more people to get their hands on it. I did hum about it for a while, but there was enough demand out there that it kind of made sense. The action figures. So I customized. So COVID got weird, right? And if I've spun this camera around before, there's a lot of action figures in this room, and I got quite good at customizing. And so I've been doing Funko Pops the last couple of campaigns. That I've been repainting them and repurposing them. I've done 1, 2, 3 more. I think Moira's got them all, actually. I think I've done 5 now, and 1 more in this campaign, the 6th, which is I can't reach them. So we do a Funko Pop, and then the action figures are converted Marvel Legends figures. I think that. Can you see on the shoulder there? Let me see if I can get this out here. And this was a Red Hulk, and this is you've met Michael Mullapola before, yeah? Shaun?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Michael did this cover for issue 1, this print for issue 1, and I've kind of reinterpreted that onto a Red Hulk. So that's got a whole lot of new molding on it and some Samoan tattoos based on Michael's designs. And I'm sending one of these to him because it's so awesome. And he did such great work on that. I some good inspiration. And he's an action figure fan as well. But I've repurposed all the boxes and stuff and put our things on it. But they look amazing. Well, thank you, Moira. The pops are pretty cool.
Yeah. It was pretty cool that he's done. He did a short story within XCT, so I've worked with him before. He's absolutely amazing New Zealand artist. Does Headlocked, which is a good wrestling comic, and then he's a wrestler himself as well. So and then works in the comic book store.
New Zealand's Tekken champion as well.
He's
amazing. I've all thumbs with those fighting games. It's absolutely useless. I prefer Resident Evil. Go around and shit myself every corner. And this is the art by someone some of the listeners and viewers might be familiar with. Is Dedelis, who also works on Wordsmith. And you'll notice his style is actually a little bit different to Wordsmith. So he's very good. Just small tweaks and bits and pieces. There's PR. Yeah, and Liesl as well as she's coloured a lot of PR's work in the past. Rob Jones from PR's from Poland. Liesl's from I always get this wrong, and I'm not going to say it because it says it there. I'm awful. Philippines, yes, because I've said Indonesia before, and it's like that's like me saying, "Oh, you guys are from New Zealand," right? And I'm like, me of all people, I know. I'm just the worst. And these are some of the Moldy creators who I've worked with have helped me with some design and inspiration work. So they've been responsible for all the Moldy designs in the book have been done by Moldy artists. The main reason we didn't use a Moldy artist for the internal pages is I want a very specific look and style, and PR brings that. And there weren't that many New Zealand artists available to. Now, remember, I started this when no one knew me. I kind of had one book in the can and one short story, which was the Miller World Annual, where I wrote a hit girl story, which is very lucky and fortunate to be a part of. But if you're someone and you approach them and say, "Oh, could you do 140 pages of comics for me?" I'm like, "What? Who are you?" There's no references. There's no track record. They have no reason to believe that I will fork out that much for me. So I think big thanks to actually Stephen. Actually, I think I talked to you. I think you helped recommend PR to me, I believe, once upon a time. So you know,
look, he's a good guy, and
amazingly consistent and professional. And see, this is do you see his alternative cover that he's done for the? I love it. The old giant size X-Men remake homage. He's just absolutely incredible, and he's done a lot of. I feel like I owe him so much. He's bent over backwards to make this book as great as it is. So yeah,
you need to get him on the show, Stephen.
Oh, he doesn't like to do interviews. His English isn't that good spoken. He's really good at written, but
his communication is quite really good, and his understanding. So when we go on, when I have a script, I'm quite detailed in my scripts. I said I'd like to see this, and sometimes I'll send him page examples, layout examples. Like, I'd like to see it like this, and I say, but I always caveat that with, if you have a better way of doing it, do it. And whenever he does have, it's like when he's usually that sounds good. That sounds good. Hang on, let's try this, and it's always better than I can think of. Always better. So it's one thing with this land is it was very lucky. We had all 5 issues done before I launched Kickstarter for issue 1.
Oh, wow.
That was important for me because, and I was lucky to be in a position to do that. It was important for me because everybody knows those Kickstarters that you never see issue 2 or issue 3, or you back one. It takes about a year to get here, and there are reasons for delays, obviously, but sometimes it's really hard. I've been very lucky. This has been a blessing and a curse, this campaign, because we've done 5 issues in 18 months. And the problem with that is that we're coming out so quickly that people are like, I'll just wait to the end. And I do not, and with shipping costs and everything, I don't blame people for doing that. We were lucky enough, 2.5 days, we got over our target. We're in the lull at the moment, traditional lull through the middle. So we are we're looking good. We've still got quite a few people watching the campaign as well. I'm very happy. It was only a 22-day campaign as well, so I think one week into 3 weeks. Yeah, pretty much. I was lucky enough. You know what it's like, clock watching and refreshing. It's so hard to stop doing, and you worry you're bombarding people too much with updates and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to yell about your story, who is? It's a very tough thing, this Kickstarter game. And
I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of times where people have said to us, "Oh, we didn't even realize that it launched," or "We didn't even realize." And you're like, "Really, man? I've been posting it up like." Crazy, like either a month before it launched, or do the live shows and all those type of things. So
the algorithm these days doesn't help. So someone's following your story or page that you can like a page, but you're not following the page, and even when you're following, it might not even show up on the list of things you're liking. So I mean, newsletters and updates, and actually the little stories. Now I think stories get like because TikTok went. Instagram stories, Facebook stories, I think they get a little bit more views because people are like, scroll, oh, okay, that's on, scroll, okay, right.
Yeah.
It's instant information, whereas scrolling up on the Facebook's a bit harder. But I just absolutely very, very thankful for all the people who've come back every single issue, because they didn't have to. And again, they didn't know me, but by issue 3, I think they could see it's definitely ticking over every 3 months. I was a bit late. I did hope to launch issue 5 in July. I got COVID in the middle of June, and I couldn't think straight. It just wiped me out. I was just so all over the place. I didn't want to launch and make a mistake because there's a lot of people don't realize the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, just preparing and organizing and making all your little ducks in a row. And because if you're not clear-headed when that happens, then you know you can make a big. I think one campaign I got the postage around the wrong way, so it was a £30 reward, and I charged £3 for shipping overseas. This was a lot of weight, and £7 for the UK. And I just had to bite it. I was like, so I refunded the UK people, but I didn't charge extra to the overseas people. I said, yep, that's on me. You know, you got to do it. Me and you, Stephen, we've looked at the pros and cons of using different shipping methods and maybe bulk sending to people. It worked your way to me, but it doesn't work my way to you, which is so.
Oh, look, I always thank you for that because helps heaps. Absolutely
It's so bizarre, and especially like the last 2 years, shipping is just is a big component of the campaign, and you know, it's such a global book now. This land, it's got a good split. It's about a third is the US, a third is the UK, and then a third is the rest of the world.
Wow, that's pretty good. And how'd you get the scholastic? Scholastic, sorry, yeah. I always say that.
Whatever. So Scholastic was interesting. It was kind of, and sounds bizarre. I did have like a checklist of things I wanted to do for this land, and getting it into Scholastic was important to me, especially in New Zealand and Australia. Because one of my goals for the book was to get a evergreen book into kids' hands that they could read growing up, because you had your Tintins and your Asterix, and those are dating a wee bit, you know. You read some of them and you're like, but as a kid, a New Zealand kid, Aotearoa kid, you didn't have anything really to look up to. There were one or two books. You had your Foot Rot Flats, which was like a weekly cartoon strip, like your Calvin and Hobbes sort of, based on a dairy farm out the back of Hawke's Bay. There was nothing. Whoa! Was that my trailer going losing its mind? Yeah. There was nothing kids could lean towards. And the other thing is, I've been working on this land since about 2016, and now it's taken to 2022 to finally add the last one in print. Some people, I had good references, so I made sure the first couple of issues got in the hands of school teachers and stuff in New Zealand. So issue 1 of this land, I think, was actually launched. I went and got it printed, and I used it for a Comic-Con in 2019. And where was it? Glasgow. Went to Glasgow Comic-Con, did a couple of other conventions around the UK, just with issue 1. And that was more I wanted to get a feel for what people thought of it and how it went. I sent a whole lot of copies back to New Zealand, got into schools and stuff. Just, you know, it was only 32 pages. So it wasn't really a big, heavy read, but it got a really good response. And the book found its way into a Scholastic rep's hand, and Scholastic got in touch with me. And it got into the rep's hand based on a headmaster going, my kids need more of this. This is what they want, you know. We found it's worked really well with kids who are lapsed readers or struggling to read, you know, whilst, you know, there's some fantastic art there that, you know, it's still a good solid story there. And it's been very helpful. And again, this wasn't the original goal, but this is what comics do, right? Yeah. And they found it really relatable. So Scholastic approached me, we got in touch, we had a chat, and we spent about, I want to say, this is before issue 3 was launched. This was probably about May last year. And then we spent 6 months negotiating, which is fun. So I've kept all the media rights, which is an important thing in this day and age for creators. Doesn't mean there's going to be a movie tomorrow, kids. So sorry about that. That's not happening anytime soon, but the potential's there. And maybe one day, I know for a fact, in the next 10 years, you could take all the images from this land, press a button, a 3D wire will be created around that picture, right? A 3D wire skeleton, and I'll probably be able to animate the movie myself in 10 years. I guarantee that's going. If it comes to that, I'll do it. But I think there's some good life beyond the book for this land. I'm not doing any more UK conventions, Moira. There's a good reason for that. So basically, what we're doing with Scholastic is volumes. It's splitting into 2 volumes, volume 1 and 2, which was volume 1 will be, and it's here, yay! And this is important because people can wait for the trade in Australia and New Zealand, so it is available in Australia as well, October. So volume 1, and it's a touch smaller. So see that? So it's a lot smaller. So it's been reduced. They've even trimmed some of the edges off. So we've lost about 4% of the book as well, some of the art. But I think, PR, I think one of your books might be this size, actually. Possibly. I'm not too sure. But this is US standard comic size. And this is, I don't even know what that is. It's not A4. It's smaller than that.
A5?
But it's an easier size for mass printing, basically.
Yeah, A5. Yeah, I've got Dead Man's Land. Dead Man's Land is that size. It's just a little bit smaller than A4. And we did that because it was like 130 odd pages. Yeah. So printing a color book that size when you're not doing a massive run was way cheaper doing it that size type of thing. So
there was a lot of editing going on so this is essentially this land 1 to 5 the Kickstarter versions are in US English, right? This is in New Zealand English, so it was because we shrunk some of the pages, some word balloons needed to be moved around and stuff. So I did all that because I did all the jiggery pokery. Some additional, because the target audience for the book is probably 8 to 14, but every time I speak to them, they're saying, "Yep, well, my teenager picked it up and he absolutely loves it and wants to know when part 2 is coming out." It's like, told you guys, told you, it's all ages. Anyone can read it. Anyone can get something out of it. So it was their Scholastic New Zealand's first time really looking at comic books and graphic novels. So yeah, volume 1 is 80 pages and volume 2 will be 80 pages, and there'll be a bit more back matter because issues 4 and 5 don't equal 80 pages, but there'll be some more back matter and behind the scenes stuff in volume 2, and that will come out in early next year. And the main difference, obviously, the paper quality stock. Anyone who's read this, land, they know this is a solid, like construction wise, nice hard glossy. I think 220 GSM cover, nice 150 GSM, nice thick pages. It's indestructible. I could have saved money and had a thinner paper or not even a gloss cover, but I thought if this is my one shot of creating a comic, I want the thing to last. And issues 1 to 5 are all available on the Kickstarter if you're just catching up. And for those who are involved, I think anyone who's been involved so far backing the campaign will let you know that the quality of the book itself is really good.
And I've just dropped a link in the chat. The link in the chat. So if you are just watching now, just go into the comments in either Facebook, Twitch or YouTube, and you'll be able to click on the link and be taken to This Land issue 5. And as Mark said, you got all the other issues available as well. And this completes the story. So if you back it now, you're going to get the full story straight off the bat. But thanks so much for coming on, man. I
just realized the time. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
We really, really appreciate it. And congratulations again on hitting your target. There's 14 days to go. And what we might do is we might end by watching your trailer on the way out.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Mark Abnett, winner of the Miller World Talent Contest and writer of Hit Girl. I'm a native of Aotearoa, New Zealand, living in Scotland. Here we are at the final issue of This Land. The story so far? Within the reborn world of Aotearoa, New Zealand, an ancient god has fallen from the sky. A promise has been made and a bargain struck. Mercenaries, gods and monsters have fought for the right to claim this world, but now they face the biggest showdown against the god of all evil, and not everyone will walk away. This Land 5, Born Again, includes 32 pages of art and story in standard US comic format, printed on beautiful 150 GSM silk paper. Issues 1, 2, 3, and 4 are still available in our catch-up reward package and as additional add-ons. In this campaign, we have original art prints by Story Henry Morehouse and incredible variant covers by series artist Pierre de Delis with his tribute to Giant Size X-Men 1, and the much requested return of Marvel artist Oscar Yildirim's Days of Future Past variant for issue 3, which is now recolored with a different trade dress. The popular custom Funko Pops are back, but we also have the addition of these incredible custom Marvel Legend figures hand-painted and repackaged over many hours by myself. Why back This Land? Well, the book is complete, and it's already at the printers awaiting final print numbers. We've had 4 successful campaigns, and 3 of those has been Kickstarter projects we love. But hang on, you ask, why don't I just wait for the trade and buy it then? Well, I've got some incredible news. The global rights for This Land have been picked up by Scholastic and are being published in a smaller digest format in Australia and New Zealand in October this year. However, right now is the only chance you will ever get to have the US standard comic format on premium paper, so grab this chance while you still can. If you're still listening, thank you. Your support has fueled the success that the book has had so far. It's incredibly humbling and means so much to myself and the rest of the creative team. There are future stories beyond This Land, and I cannot wait to share with you what's coming next.